Well lads, where do we start? What a great weekend all round. League win against Todd on Saturday. Amazing game and result to win the cup against Same Oppos on Sunday. We're probably not their favourite team at the moment, I'm sure. I mean, it looked to be another really well organised Lowerhouse Cricket Club day, didn't it, all round. Good set-up, good crowd, all the tents cracking on. What a fantastic advert for us, the league, and local cricket generally. Well done to everybody involved. I'm not sure what the attendance was. I think it was about £6,500 in takings, so I don't know what that equates to. Yeah, it looked to be another good day, and those are memorable days. You know, long remembered. My girls still say, you know, go on about 2004 like it was, you know, massive thing in their growing up. So I'm sure it was fantastic to be there.
What are you eating? Jez is having his evening yoghurt.
I think you might find it's apple and blackberry with custard on.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Is it good? Is it like a pie, or is it just the fruit with custard?
No, it's got the crumble on top.
Crumble, lovely, yeah.
I go foraging with little dogs. Simmy takes the mickey out of me. You're walking around fields and they're all there. It's free food, Joe.
Well, we're not allowed to talk about the vegetation anymore, Jez.
Agriculture is off the agenda.
Dooch, I'm interested to know of your ratio, your crumble ratio of crumble to fruit.
There's not enough crumble on this, but don't tell Lisa.
It's custard that's the main bit. I can have all crumble if there's enough custard on it.
Really? Yeah. I'm not a big fan of custard, you know.
Why don't you like why is agricultural food and catching your own food off the agenda?
No. Well, it's not for me and you, Jez, but for other people, they were extremely
it's boring.
You're listening to Housecast, the official Lowerhouse Cricket Club podcast. Shout out to our sponsors Spoonful of Sweets, Virtual Food Service, Milltown Pies and Rexel. Up the house.
I also shared that picture at work, Charlie Gansler, just so you know.
Thank you.
This is what I got up to this weekend.
Charlie, I've got 3 screens at work and you're at my desktop on all 3 of them. So.
And the other thing, well, I know we've got a bit of an agenda tonight. We also need to discuss how Hawke punched Charlie Gansler after that. Absolutely laced him in his arm.
Thinking if I connected with him, he'd landed on the deck.
Send more house to save the house. Come on, the house!
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Housecast, the Lowerhouse Cricket Club's. I keep saying it, but it is a legendary podcast. Really excited about today. I've not had as many messages as I've had today for a long, long time. And the build-up to this episode has been quite exciting, and Joe Martin seems to be beside himself. I'm not even sure if he's going to wet himself if he carries on laughing the way he does. But thanks everyone for listening and keep supporting. You know, what a great weekend it's been for the lads and for the cricket club in general. We're doing a Worsley Cup debrief, catch up, talk through. We're all mad keen to get through it all and enjoy it. But before I come on to the guests, I know that the vast majority will know who it is unless you're not on our social media feed. But I'll come to my fantastic co-hosts. There's 4 of us on this at the moment with our technical director laid back in his sunbed, it looks like. Joe Martin, how are you feeling? 2 tough games?
Yeah, very tough.
How are you feeling?
Well, I was feeling a lot better at 8 o'clock yesterday. after a nervous couple of hours. But no, 8 o'clock Sunday, not
What on
yesterday.
earth here? What we doing?
No, I've just got my days wrong, Jess. That's all. I was excellent 8 o'clock Sunday. I'd had a lovely weekend by then.
You're proper giddy, aren't you?
I'm very excited. Yeah.
I can
Have you
tell.
taken up drinking, Joe?
Well, I have a pint of Vimto in my bottle,
Right, okay.
so I'll be absolutely wired in an hour.
Good lad, good lad. Right, lad who's just had his hair trimmed, he's looking as fit as ever. Gav Shields, how's it going?
Did you say fit or fat there, Jez?
No fit, you know me better.
Yeah, you'll do for me. Yeah, I'm all right, thank you, Jeremy. Okay, yeah.
I know you're as looking forward to this as we all are. We're going to fly through it, Gav. It could take a couple of hours and an episode or two, but I know our technical director and Joe will get it out as soon as possible. Are you recovered, Gav? Are you not just the having a few pints, but the emotions of it all? What a great day! How are you feeling after that?
Yeah, well, yeah, really good. A bit tired yesterday. I could have busted into tears when the alarm clock went off on Monday morning. But yeah, right, cracking day, like you say, a couple of beers, but it was a roller coaster. I can't imagine how it were for the players, but watching it, when you can't do anything about it, and you just got caught up in it all, and there was so many folk on it. It was just a cracking day, and we came out on the right side of it thanks to the chaps. But yeah, a cracking day, one of the very best.
Yeah, without a doubt, and we will be going into it, Gav. As everyone's aware, we've got the two top lads on here now who will talk us through their feelings and how they went about it. But we're going to go through this podcast a little bit differently, and as much as we're going to do it in sections, talk about the game. There is nothing else we're going to discuss on here other than the game and get a real insight from the three players who are on here. But before we do that, Dooch, we had a catch-up, I think, about 11:30, I think, on Sunday. And are you all right if I tell everyone what you said?
You have to tell me. I can't. I remember having a conversation with you. As to what the content of that conversation was, I've no idea.
You talked about how nervous you were and how much it affected you, and you'd woke up
in
the morning,
and
I tried to calm you down. Just talk us through how you felt on Sunday morning and Saturday night.
Just nervous. I know that it obviously means a lot to a lot of people, and I'm only a very, very tiny part of it. But it definitely did make me nervous in the morning. And I was nervous last year, and I was nervous against Clitheroe. I don't remember being that nervous before the two finals that I played in.
Right.
So yeah, I don't know. I just affects me differently. I'm not sure, and I'm not ashamed to say I was a little bit emotional after the game finished. I think that might have been something to do with the Stella that was supping in the hospitality tents. But yeah, it definitely did get me. Definitely.
Good, and we'll come on to that. And I'll tell you what, Joe, there is nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with coming out with stuff like that, and we can all have different feelings, and that's what we want to talk about. Get our feelings out there, and everyone loves it who listens, and I'm sure they'll come in with the odd message or two. So, technical director, lad who runs this podcast, really, no one else knows that he does all the behind the scenes, and him and Joe pull it all together when us idiots have maybe said something wrong or said the odd swear word. Adam, how's it going?
Yeah, really good, thanks. I had great hindsight to book yesterday off. I've lost my voice. But yeah, same as Joe. I were in a couple of tents up from Joe, and we had a chat before, and I was talking about Saturday about how Todd had the chance to absolutely obliterate us 4 or 5 times. And I get the same as Joe. I mean, I played one first team game, and I get so nervous just watching. I think it's because everyone actually really, really cares, and your family's there, and how much it means to everyone else. And halfway through the game, you're kind of not enjoying it because you care so much almost. But yeah, I'm the same as Joe. all the family there. As soon as we win, we'll get onto it. But emotions are just proper out there. And my missus don't really like cricket, and neither does her sister. But they had a tent, and now they're Lowerhouse's biggest fans. So that's there's something to take out of that as well, isn't there?
Yeah, it does. It makes a lot of memories for a lot of people that even if they don't watch another game or we don't get to another final or whatever, no one can take it away. And that's even more important for the three lads who are going to come on and talk, because they will have that forever. So I'm going to introduce a guest and then we're going to talk through the game. So first of all, a lad who's played a long time, a great young cricketer for us, always had a potential. Even when he were only about 4.5 foot, he could still bat and bowl quite quick. Joe Hawke, how you doing, Joe?
Very well, thank you, Jeremy. Thank you for having me on. Back time.
I know it is. You bollocked me on Sunday night, but we were going to get round to it. I wanted you on it, but the rest of it said, no, he's a nuisance.
Yeah, I can
imagine. Order that, dude. You blame us. Blame us for it.
I don't mind taking the blame.
That's fine. I want it be you, Dooch.
So, okay, how are you? Just give us your thoughts and your feelings. Obviously, yesterday morning, I'm sure it would have been difficult. We were still having a pint up till certainly after midnight and beyond. How are you feeling today and after you can settle down and get things in your mind?
Yeah, to be honest, it's still not sunk in, really.
Yeah.
I've literally just come round from being rough, waking up in Frankie's spare room at God knows what hour. But yeah, just an unbelievable day.
Yeah.
Obviously one that I'll never ever forget. And just being there at the end with young Charlie Gansler.
Yeah.
He'll probably be the first one to admit that he's not had the easiest of first seasons with us.
Yeah.
And it actually got a little bit emotional out in the middle with him, especially when them sixes went flying over the boundary.
Oh my God! Right, we'll have to listen to that. We'll have to listen to that as we go through the story. So thanks, Joe. I've lots of things to talk to you about on here, and we definitely will be having you on in the next few weeks because we want to go through your career, how you started, and how you went on to become a pro and then come back and play for. So we'll do that separately.
Yeah, no
if
worries.
we do it tonight, we'll be here till 1 a.m. So Hawke's just mentioned the lad that he was in the middle with. And we'll come to it all. Everyone who's listening to this will know what happened, but I just can't wait to talk through the process of how we got to that stage. So Charlie Gansler, lad who has joined the club, a really good, solid, local player at Bacup, did so much for Bacup, but decided it was time for a move. He's still got a lot of friends there, and people talk very highly of him. So Charlie, how are you feeling on the 48 hours after the event?
I said to Joe Martin just before we started that I'm a lot stiffer today than I was yesterday. That's for sure.
Right.
It's a pleasure to be on, to be honest.
No, good. It's great to have you. It's great to have you, Charlie, and we will talk through the process, a little bit of you coming to join us and how you felt this year. When, obviously it's a big club, personally, they're in my top 4 clubs that I ever played against, or I have a lot of friends there. Was that a tough call for you to leave?
It was a bit, but I felt like the timing was right, to be honest. Just to take that step in my career, just push on a little bit, not just for the high standard of cricket, but the coaching at the club. The good atmosphere of the club. So
yeah, and that is good, and it's difficult to talk about that, and especially when leaving people back there. But we can talk about that maybe. Get you on, Charlie. I can't guarantee it this year, but next year and go through your whole career. You're only a young lad at the moment, so we can go through that. So what we're going to do is talk through the game, in its whole, from start to finish. So I'll start off around the build-up and everything that was happening, and then I'm going to come to Dooch just to talk through maybe after the opening partnership of the Todd innings. So Frank Henty's at the club at I think it was 11 minutes past 5 in the morning. All credit to Frank. You know, he gets a lot of plaudits around these types of events, and we can't, you know, you can't help but give him the praise that he deserves, along with his band of people who helped. However many tents, you know, 20, 30 tents up, all with beer in, all with wine and Prosecco, and he's done it all for 10 o'clock.
Hi Joe, it's Frank. Hope all is well. I don't want to say too much. I appreciate that's quite unlike myself, but I do find the emotion of Sunday, from a personal perspective, is still extremely overwhelming. One memory that will live with me for a long time is the look of pure joy and pride on Lindsay Gansler's, that's Charlie's mum's face, as they greeted each other after the game, and the pure tears of joy that his brother shed at the same time. Absolutely incredible. I'm glad that you didn't have to bat, Joe. I could see the stress that you were under waiting to bat. Overnight for a holiday with the granddaughter. I'll see you all as I fly back in time for Bank Holiday Monday. T20 Finals Day. See you all then. Thanks, chaps.
I've gone and picked little Teddy up, my grandson. We're down at the club at 10 o'clock and the atmosphere is building there. There's 50, 60 people on. It just gets busier and a load more people coming on. A few pints are already being taken, but it's building is the atmosphere. It really is building up. So, Joe Martin, I'm dropping you in it a bit here because I've said I got to do, but what was it like for the players? What did you do for that couple of hours before? Just explain to the listeners what you did.
So first went for breakfast.
Yeah.
We went to JJ's where there was a healthy amount of food eaten by all. There were some very big portions of food. Fuel, very much so. Charlie Cotton had corned beef hash on his plate for breakfast. Never seen it before in my life. Decided that it wasn't a breakfast food item. So yeah, we did that, and then we all got to the club for around 11 o'clock. You know, I had a bit of a wander around hitting the nets, and then we were out on the field for 25 to 12, something like that, ready to warm up and get ready for the game.
You've played in quite a few finals, Joe. Did this seem any different to any others?
Do you know? I think that actually losing last year's final, so I don't know what it was like for everybody else, but it certainly for me made it a bit easier because I didn't think that, you know, obviously we all want to win, but also realise that it's not, you know, the world isn't going to collapse if we don't win. So just having that kind of expectation, I guess, that anything can happen was where I was at. So I probably slept better than I have for any other final, because you know I'm a disaster, right? So that's fine.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think it was a lovely day. So it made it quite pleasant warming up, and managed to get out there earlier than a few people to set up the warm up, and had a good chat with Stanley and whatever. So it was yeah, it was all right this year. Yeah.
Joe, a quick question from me.
Did
Do you think you'd have felt any differently if we'd have lost the day before?
Good question. I certainly think that it might not have impacted them. I mean, it certainly doesn't look like it. You know, they ended up getting a good score, didn't they? But I think for us, it was a good bit of momentum to take into the next day because we'd batted well and we'd bowled well and we'd fielded well. So
yeah.
I think that I don't know how it affected them, if it did at all, but I think it put us in a good frame of mind whether we were going to bat or bowl first, that we thought we could bowl them out, and we thought that we could either, you know, post a good total or chase it down, I think.
Yeah, and it is an awkward question. When you win, you say, no, it didn't really affect us. And when you lose, you say, yeah, it gutted us. It's a difficult one to gauge. And we've done it 3 times now in the last however many years, which is quite bizarre how that happens. But the weather, as you said, the weather was fantastic. It wasn't too warm then; it was getting warmer. Great buzz about the ground. Gooch, we had a chat, probably 12-ish. Everything's moving on. If you don't mind, just talk us through your thoughts around the toss, your thoughts around who bats first and how that's going to affect everything. And then, just talk me through the first half hour of the game. I know it's a bit of pressure for you, but just talk me through that, Joe.
Well, first of all, the toss. I mean, we did speak about this before the game, didn't we? We obviously would have liked to have bat first, and I'm sure Ben would have wanted to bat first. But obviously, if you win the toss and you decide to bat, then that does put you under a little bit of pressure because you have to capitalise on it once you've got that perceived advantage. And the fact that they lost 2 and 3 very early wickets, perhaps they didn't capitalise on that as much as they possibly could. I just want to mention something that Francois said in the middle of last week. Richard Johnson, our ex-bar member, asked Francois what he thought was going to happen in the final, and he said 100% whoever wins the toss will win the game.
Well, that just shows what he knows.
He's an idiot. And he's an ex-professional cricketer, and that was his assessment of what was going to happen. So yeah, we were a little bit disadvantaged by not winning the toss, but as it turned out, we had a great start. You mentioned the first half an hour there. That was when we really had an excellent start. And at one stage you're thinking, wow, is this going to be a quick final? Are we going to be in and out of here relatively quickly? Because we had a look at the pitch beforehand and we knew the pitch was good. So if they were going to get a lowish score, which it did look like they might do at one stage, then we obviously would have been right in the box seat. But obviously, it never works out that way, does it? It's never quite as simple as that. So, good start by us, but obviously they came back into it fairly strongly.
Yeah, and I do think, as you've said, you were fearing because the pro didn't get any the day before, but he's a good player. There's a score there. Obviously, he's probably 5 or 6. Well, it's over 600, I think, now this year. So there's always a score there. But I was, again, Paddy Martin, and it's no secret, opposition teams will listen to this podcast. When he opens the bowling, and he's bowling the way he does, it must be very difficult for top class. When he's coming round the wicket or over the wicket, and the fields are set perfectly. It's pressure. It really is pressure. Tom Walker's pushing himself on the side screen. It's almost like screaming as he's running to the wicket, trying to bowl as fast as he can. I didn't think it came out as fast as it has done. It didn't seem to carry through to you, Joe Martin, as quick. But there was serious pressure there. I'll go to you next, Hawke. The start of the game, you're out there. You're not opening the bowling like you used to now. But Ben can bring you on at any time. How were your nerves? How did you feel for that? Going on the pitch and then those first 10 overs.
Bowling and fielding wise, I've never ever been nervous before. It's always when we're chasing. I'm sure Joe Martin will tell you. Me and him usually sit in the changing room for the 50 overs that we're chasing.
Yeah,
I don't actually see a ball being bowled at us when we're batting second. But for the first 10 overs of the final, obviously, like you said, got them. I think they were 25 for 3 at one point. Any little lingering nerves were settled pretty early doors. Crowd building, such a nice day as well.
Yeah.
But obviously, Ed Moore, we know he's very capable with the bat. He looked very scratchy early doors. A couple of Chinese cuts to Tom Walker. But he soon settled down and we knew we were going to be in for a pretty big fight with him. And obviously Todd had quite a few batters that could bat with him. So
yeah.
I know when I came on, the ball, I was saying to Ben, the ball wasn't really doing anything. There was no seam movement off the wicket. There was no swing. I actually felt just a little bit like a bowling machine, to be honest. But I guess cup games, it's not about taking wickets, is it? It's about trying to keep the flow of runs down, which we seemed to do pretty well until the later overs when he really started to get going.
But that happens, Joe. That is, you're 100% right. It's bowling to plans, and those, even now, going back to in the olden days, it used to be right, try and keep them to 3 and over, 4 and over. But now, middle overs, they're pros in, and he's setting his stall. 5 and 6 and over, it's not the end of the world. Certainly when you've got Paddy doing as great a job as he has, and Tom Walker and obviously the pro to rely on. So that's interesting that you're there. But the team, the attitude, you could tell the spirit was there, the talking, the noise around the ground. Charlie, how did you feel? What was your build up to it, coming out to playing in front of, what is probably 1,500, 2,000 people? How did you feel?
It was pure excitement, really. I wanted to do something in the game, really. I didn't really want to bowl. I understood that Ben backed himself in that moment, but it was just pure excitement. Not really nerves, just ready to go.
Yeah, and I'll come to you, Dooch, in a second. But we watched you, Charlie. I think of the Burnley game and another game, and you're always in it. You're full of, when the game's going a little bit quiet, it might be for 2 or 3 overs, it might be for 20 overs. You're still in it, and for a young lad, that's a real credit that you're in the game, you're concentrating. You drop one on Sunday, but you're there. You want to be involved. You want to take that catch, and you're ready to bowl. Dooch, we chatted at Burnley about him, didn't we, Charlie, of how he performs. Did you have any concerns as part of the, without taking the mickey, the selection, the cricket side, that Charlie could freeze?
Played every game this year. He played every game this year, and like you said, he's grown into a lot of those games as we've gone on later on in the season. He gave us a little glimpse last week at Burnley. Was very, very unlucky to get out the way he did.
Yeah.
That was one of those times when he hit it. Me and you went, "Wow, what a shot!" He's caught it.
Yeah.
So he did give us a little taster. Did I foresee what he was going to do on Sunday? No, not particularly, but not really. I didn't have any concerns about whether he could handle it or not.
No, and you're 100% right. I know we've had him on just recently, but a lad who's just come back to the fold after a bit of a sabbatical. Chippy watched you at Littleborough, and then he saw you. He doesn't know you from Adam, but he said this lad can hit it. He can time the ball. He's clearly got confidence there. So when you say, Dooch, did you expect it to finish as it did? No, I don't think you could even write that. But none of us fell off our chair as to what Charlie had done and what and also what Henry had done and obviously Hawke had done there. It was fantastic to see. So Gav, I'm going to come to you now. We're at the point where we've got them 25 for 3. The atmosphere is not dying down a little bit, but I think a lot of us were thinking, crikey, this could be over at 6 if we carry on bowling as well as we are. Tom Walker with his pace, we've got the extra backup bowlers. How did you see the game going then? That their pro Ed Moore got a bit of a partnership going with Rickard, which was 50, 60, 70, and then they were all chipping in. Did you see, that their pros likely to get 124? How did you see it going?
Well, it's one of them. It's one of them scenarios that the cricket throws up where you're thinking it's on an half edge. It's all down to their pro, really. Yeah, they put in you never think at that standard that you're just going to roll through everybody. There's always going to be a partnership because it's an excellent standard. It's not they're not mugs out there. But there were a lot of pressure on their pro, I thought, and it was difficult to see how the innings would play out because all it takes is a great catch, a great delivery, a silly run out, bad shot, something like that, But I thought the pro batted really well, and to be fair to their middle order, they stuck with him. But you could see anything happening. You could see him, like you say, losing a cluster of wickets, or if the pro stayed there like he did, well then, they're going to get a substantial score. But fair play to him. The pro kept battered well, didn't he? And then put his foot down towards the end, and the amateurs sort of dug in and stayed with him and did right. I mean, I thought Ben bowled well, when the pro started going, but I thought we stuck at it. But at sort of T, I was thinking anything less than 230. I think it's us. I thought we'd be happy with that. I mean, I know over 200 is a big chase in a final, but it's difficult to see what the wicket's doing when you're 40 odd yards away, sat having a pint. But there didn't seem to be a lot misbehaving or anything like that. And especially the way that the middle order played, you're thinking, you know, surely the way that our lads play and the form that they're in and the confidence, they'd be, you know, fancying that. So I thought it would just advantage us at tea, if I'm honest.
Yeah, I must agree, and I'm going to come to you, Hawke, in a minute, just to ask about the pitch. I did expect their pro. I mean, you got 124 and didn't really explode, you know, like Dan can do, or other pros we've seen, thinking, right, all I've got here is, you know, 2 or 3 batters who can help me. So I'm going to have to go for it. So I thought he placed it fantastically well. Okay, the pitch stand left a little bit of grass on it. We're nice and firm. Was it carrying through? Was there a bit of bounce there?
Yeah, there was a little bit. I mean, I'm getting on a bit now. I'm a little bit like Steve Oddy now, aren't I? So probably the wrong person to ask. But obviously, Tom Walker still pushes it through. There wasn't as much bounce as the wicket on Saturday, I don't think.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, it was a very good cricket wicket. There were no balls that misbehaved. You could hit through the line of the ball. So yeah, it were a very good wicket for a cup final.
And I thought, just as Gav's alluded to, that I was happy with 220. You know, with 5 overs to go, I thought, or before their programme, we settled for 220 here and back ourselves, back our batters, back to everyone else we've got, and you know they end up getting 2-2-1.
So to Ebden flowed, didn't it? Really, I mean, it was really good contest. Looking back, 4 for 2, them batting first, and then 20 odd for 3. A flurry of wickets at the end. Their pros knock, obviously holding it all together, and then obviously had to put the foot down to get them over 200. Not sure what we could have done differently, really. I think Ben marshalled the bowlers pretty well. Yeah, good job all round from everyone. We'd have probably took around about 200 at the start. Decent track and a fast outfield, I guess. They've got to use five or 6 bowlers. So we got batters in form, but maybe wanted a little bit less than that, given we had them in a sticky position a couple of times. And they must have been quite confident at tea, having got there, because like that other stat shows, they don't batting first and getting 200 in a Worsley Cup is more than often than not good enough.
Joe Martin as going into the dressing room, it's a hot day, you know. We haven't to underestimate that you know, bowling first, you know, it's 50 overs, you get your drinks, you get your rest, but it's pressure, and there is a lot of, you know, it does take it out of you, that sun. How did you feel in yourself? You're stumping through there, you took a fantastic catch. Did you feel comfortable that your fellow batters would get us through it?
I had every confidence in the batters. However, at the same time, I also did 10 laps in probably, I don't know, an hour, something like that. And then, so once I did that, I didn't watch any of the game. I wandered around talking to different people with my back to it. Then after that, I went and laid in the dressing room for half an hour, 45 minutes with my hat on my head, so I didn't have to watch that bit. Then I sat in Blez's seat for another half an hour or so and read the programme a few times. And I had to go and pad up. But I wasn't worried.
No.
Liar. You're such a liar.
I was nervous, Jez. I was nervous. More for everybody else. I mean, when you talk about the heat, you know, Ben battered exceptionally well, and also considering he bowled 10 overs, which, you know, he hasn't bowled a lot recently. So to do that and bowl as well as he did, you know, I thought him and Paddy taking pace off the ball, Paddy bowling extremely well first up and then coming back to bowl well later as well, and Ben bowling, you know, 10 straight through.
Yeah,
did a brilliant job, and that must affect your ability to go out and bat, but it didn't seem to affect Ben. He batted it extremely well, didn't he? But yeah, that was a very long answer to say I was very nervous.
No, I know we like it. You know, we love listening to what the players, you know, are feeling at that stage, because it's almost like a carnival atmosphere. The umps have gone off. kids are all over the pitch. They're all over the square. Stan's trying to keep them off the wicket. But it's great to see. It's lovely, that there's that atmosphere and that community sort of spirit there.
Jez. Just before we get onto the chase, can I just make a point about what you were saying there about the Edmore perhaps not being as explosive at the back end? Do you not think that is in part down to the fact that we were taking wickets at the other end and he was probably worried about being all out with 6 overs to go?
Probably. But I thought he handled that very well.
Yeah. He did. I thought he did. I thought he did. But I just thought that, maybe if they'd have only been 4 down, with 10 overs to go, those 6s that he was hitting to the park, and that would have been a lot more frequent. And just another thing that I noticed today, they were all out. There was still 8 balls of their innings left when they were all out.
Yeah.
How many balls were left in our innings when we won?
8 balls.
Crucial.
What's chances of that? And it is important, but you don't often see that, Dooch. And crikey, let's debate it. A pro, when he's batting, even when you look at our batting lineup, you look at who bats at 8, 9, 10, 11 for us, it could be a great catch or a daft run out. The pro has still got to think, right, and I know Dan does this very well, and it's all respect to our 8, 9, 10, 11. He will turn runs down, or he'll make sure that he's facing as much as he can of the strike. But I thought their pro did that very well. There's those 6 balls left, 8 balls left. But when you've got Hawke underneath it, he's not going to drop it, is he?
No.
He's not going to drop it. So, Charlie, we'll come to you. It's half time. You're having your cucumber sandwiches and your cup of tea. The batting lineup that we've got is relatively settled. What things? How did you feel? You clearly want to bat. You want to contribute to it all. What was your mindset then?
To be honest, me and Joe Hawke went for food, and we didn't put anything on our plates. Hardly, we couldn't. Could we? It was like
Gav used to do that, didn't we, Gav?
Absolutely. I ended up with just a couple of crackers and a bit of cheese. That's all. But I was very confident, and I felt like if it come down to the lower order, then we can go all the way to 11. So
you feel that, do you? As a group, when you look at that batting lineup, you get Henry into the top end, and then there's Charlie, yourself, Paddy, Joe, and Joe. You feel that as a group, do you? That you can do it?
100%. Joe Martin's coming in at 11 with the Lancashire League 100, so that says it all, doesn't it?
Yeah, without a doubt. And so, I won't even ask, there's some nerves there. You want to see everything go well. And no one knows how it's going to pan out. So I'll just give my view around the start of our innings. I don't know what's happened this last few weeks. I've always been confident, but I'm super confident now. And I just thought that pitch, we dragged them back from maybe not stopping them getting 240, 250. We bowled them out. I just thought Ben and Johnny would go out and just hit through the ball, similar to Middleton, or obviously not as explosive. But they seem to be working it around. Todd bowled very well, I've got to add. But it surprised me a little bit, the rate of the scoring rate at that stage. And then they look comfy, but, we're scoring at 3.5, maybe 4 and over. And then right out the blue, Johnny White had gone out. What was the feeling in the dressing room then, when Johnny's out?
Obviously, it's a massive blow in it to lose Johnny. But I think the way Ben and Salpe have spoken to us this year, it's just a case of every single one of us going out and playing our own game. See ball, hit ball kind of thing. And if it means getting out that way, then so be it. We're all going to back each other up, and that's just the way that this whole year has gone. So Johnny getting out, Frankie comes in, another destructive batter, and obviously he plays the way he plays and he gets out to that shot. But then obviously you've got Salpy coming in who plays exactly the same way. So
yeah,
it's
keep going.
Yeah, we'll just keep going all the way to 11. I mean,
yeah.
even Joe Martin's a nice stroke maker as well, isn't he? So at number 11. So we back each other all the way, and we always will do. So we never. There were no questions asked that the chase was out of reach when the top 4 got out or anything like that. So we back each other all the way.
And that's an attitude, isn't it? That's a habit and an attitude where you continue to do that. Yeah, there's some games that are going to end in tears, but you're going to be able to back through that. Gav, I'm going to come to you in a second, just around your thoughts when Frankie came in. Ben's looking comfortable. I'm looking there thinking, Ben's going to get, even if he gets 80, not out, and we get all the runs, get 120, 130, 140 from the other end. I thought this is made for Ben to get that score. And when Frankie comes in, he's batted so well this year. How did you see that going at that stage, Gav? And what were your thoughts about Frankie's dismissal?
Well, it's just as what Joe said there. I mean, Joe's in the dressing room, and we're, like I say, we're on the boundary just watching. And it's, having watched them play all year, and like he says, they keep going and they keep putting pressure on the opposition. So you just come, like you were saying earlier, you just come to expect. I know we're amateurs. I know they're amateurs, but they're good players. And like Joe said, it's a good wicket. And like Charlie said, there's confidence in the lower order. So the way that they've played the cricket these last couple of months, they're full of confidence. And when Ben's there, he's such a big game player. And he's obviously in the groove. He's got some runs on the board. And Francois, played some good innings this year. I'm thinking real dudes. Jobs are good in here. It's easy to sit there and criticise. We're at the best shot in the world from Frankie. No, but that's like Joe said. They're an attacking batting lineup. And, you can't sit there and clap and all well and good when it comes off. And then when perhaps it doesn't come off, then criticise. That's not what it's about. It's a team game. They're a batting unit. But when Ben and Frankie were in, I thought, no problem. This is going to be this could be a good 3/4 of an hour to watch this on such a wicket. But that's not quite how it panned out. And then we had the fun and games and the roller coaster for the rest of the afternoon. But I don't think you can criticise, and I think it'd be silly to do that, bearing in mind the season that we've had and the performances that each individual has put in.
Yeah, I agree, but I do think we are here for people to listen to. It's not all about blowing smoke in our trumpets.
No, absolutely not. But I think you've got to be balanced, Jess. I mean,
I'll give you some balance then. I thought it was crap.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I weren't sat there with real dude's great shot, but at the end of the day, he thought it was on. He played it. That's how he likes to play. But then, and he's done well this year playing. Scoring the runs. So you've got to take the rough straight, haven't you?
I was going to come to Dooch and ask him the question around it, because it's so comical. We were sat, and there is, 500 people all in different tents. And it's bizarre, the amount of people. Why has he played that? He's blown it. The cup's gone. He's blown it. And as you say, Gav, he's played that shot so often, plays it extremely well. I don't know whether it was a bit lazy. I don't know whether he bounced a bit more or didn't bounce as much. But Dooch, I appreciate your honesty. And I did think at the time, because Frankie he's a big game player. He works games out. And I'm thinking, crikey, Frankie, he's not let anyone down at all, but it was just uncharacteristic to be.
It was uncharacteristic because the way that he's played this year and last year, he builds things up slowly, but he doesn't really take risks early on in his innings. He's a very steady starter, and he just hit the previous ball for 4, and all right, we're still in the power play, so there's fielding restrictions, but I have no issue with him playing that shot. I just question the timing of it on Sunday. We just lost Johnny. He's just hit a 4. It's a huge game. I just don't think he needed to play it when he played it. It's not the shot particularly. People say, well, it's just as risky as trying to hit one over the top. Well, if he'd have been caught out trying to hit one over the top at that stage of the game yesterday, I think it would have been worthy of criticism. So yeah, I just didn't like it at that stage of the game. That was all.
Yeah, and the beauty of this, and Frankie will tell us this, he will have been gutted because he will have known that, he had the opportunity there, just hang around with Ben, knowing the pros in next. What was the feeling in the dressing room, Joe Martin, with that? And when Frankie came in, what did he say?
I wasn't there, Jess. I obviously wasn't there. When Francois was out, where was I? I had just walked past the tents on the right-hand side, so I didn't actually see his dismissal. But yeah, that's where I was, Jez. But I'm sure everybody was fine.
Joe,
I'm going to say, to be fair, Joe Beneducci, you can say what you want about him on here because he don't listen, does he?
No. He don't listen when you have a conversation with him to his face. Never mind on a podcast.
But on that dismissal, there was a few. I honestly see. I'm not the most extravagant batter in the world, am I? Jeez. But I honestly see no difference between a reverse sweep and a cover drive anymore. If that's a shot that you play and it's one of your strengths, then go and play it. If you think you're going to hit runs with it, if you did lace one to extra cover, they'd have gone, oh well, never mind. But
no, that's what Dooch is saying, Joe.
I'm talking about the fans in general, because when I went round for Ben's collection, they were some of the comments are incredible. Unbelievable.
So
between 20 overs left.
I shouldn't do this, but I will do it. Joe, Hawke and Charlie, were either of you in the dressing room? Did you see what his reaction was?
I was sat outside, actually. I was next to Manage at the time. And
right.
Yeah, the choice of words Manage used is obviously not very welcome on here. So, yeah. But there wasn't much, to be honest. I think it was, from Frankie's point of view, it's probably more of a case of what have I just done sort of thing. He was very calm and collected walking back in, and he put his stuff away in his bag, and he came back out supporting the boys as if like nothing had happened. So
yeah, because of that mantra that you talked about, absolutely. You know that people could do it, and you will all carry on doing it. Then I think Dan got in, and he's put 50 on with Ben, and it was almost. I'm going to use the word boring, but it was almost, this is a course, this is just going to move on and move on and move on. And that was another, it was a little bit like Johnny Whitehead's. Dooch, I'll come to you in a sec, regard the middle order then, which was a mini collapse, if you will. And Dan gets out to what was just a shock, the way I felt about it, how tame that dismissal was. Well, how did you think that went, Dooch? And then how we had that mini collapse around it.
Yeah, a bit worried when Dan's out, if I'm honest. I thought that that's going to expose our middle order a little earlier than I was hoping. Then obviously Walker gets out quickly, but then what happened after that was great. Henry's knock. I said this to him on Sunday night. I thought it was brilliant to see him play the way that he did. So calm. Crucial that he stuck around for a time there to keep us in the game. If we'd have lost another wicket there, it might have been beyond us. But I honestly believe that his 34 really enables the finishing kick that we had. Without Henry's knock, I don't think we're in a position to go and win the game. Also, just a quick word on Ben. If you look at his batting record in finals, it's absolutely off the charts. He got 77 opening the batting in 2012 when we won at Church. He got 67 against Clitheroe, 50 this time. He got 70 in the T20 final against Ramsbottom. Clearly, mentality with Ben in the big games is absolutely bang on, and I actually think that in Sunday's game that may have contributed to his downfall. I think he probably was so sort of switched on and so focused on getting 50 that when he got there, maybe he just sort of lapsed in concentration a little bit, just because he'd been fighting so hard to get there. So yeah, but his record in finals is ridiculous.
Yeah, it's a good point. That he gets to that 50. It was a relief for him. He's done the hard work there for us. Probably more of a shock that he actually got out after that, because he looked relatively comfortable.
Yeah, I did want us to start well. Ben played it pretty well, didn't he? Pacing 50 or whatever, but just never looked really flustered, and just sort of kept everybody else, I think, pretty calm. Batted well with a pro at the crease, and thought we were in the box seat really then at that point. I mean, to be fair to Todd, their bowling changes produced wickets, and kept us in check. So it was going pretty well. And then I think for me, and I messaged Jez at the time, I think the pivotal bit was them bowling Ali's 10 overs through. I think, as we said at the time, you'd probably keep a couple back, but that obviously pushed the run rate up to a level. If they'd have took another wicket or two if he'd have taken another wicket or two there, and it was 7 or 8 down, further out, then that could have been a bridge too far. But he gambled there. Skipper gambled. Like I say, put the run rate up, but then Henry, fantastic. Charles Paddy, just sort of keeping us in touch. Really, really good to watch. A couple of injudicious shots, I suspect, where if we'd have lost, people would have latched onto. But trying to create something where we were getting pinned down by sort of accurate bowling. Sometimes it comes off, sometimes it doesn't. That's a modern game, isn't it, these days, I guess.
But just to go on with the Henry topic, he's clearly a class act, and he's done so well in the last couple of years playing in the first team the way he's played. But he has gone through a tough period here. He's still only a young lad, and he's not a young Joe Hawke or a young Ben Heap. He's not someone that he's a quiet little character. Charlie, how obviously you and Henry are good mates, and how you see him and you see him bat. What did he seem like prior to going into bat and on the build up to the game and when he was there? Is he a bag of nerves? Does he panic, or is he quite cool?
I think he were really excited in the morning, but in the second innings he were definitely he were bouncing around. His legs were going. He were really nervous before going into bat.
Yeah,
but everyone was so proud of his knock. From what I saw whilst I was in the dressing room, everyone was so proud.
Yeah, yeah, and he did, as Dooch has just said. Then it was a difficult period that. Tom's just got out quite quickly, and Tom's been playing so well. But he did steady the ship. Obviously, he's with a senior player in Ben, and and they've put 25 on to calm that down, which were probably over, a 7 over period. Gav, I'll come to you around the Charlie coming into bat with Henry, because it really shocked me after the game that Charlie only got 6. It seemed the momentum was coming back in our favour, I thought. Todd are a good side, good fielding side, and they bowl really well at that stage. But it seemed to quieten them down a little bit. Did you get that impression as well between Dad and Lad and their partnership?
Yeah, well, yeah, I did, to be honest. Like you say, I was surprised to look. I thought Charlie had got more than that. Charlie's got the experience, and, he's done it in finals before, hasn't he? And, he's been there, seen it and done it, got the T-shirt. And obviously he's led at the other end, young player, talking him through it, and he thought, we're doing all right here, don't panic, Captain Mannering, and all that, we're doing all right. And then, when Charlie gets out, again you're thinking, right, who came in then? Was it Paddy? Yeah, well, Paddy then came in, weren't it? A bit of experience, but I thought Charlie and Henry were going to take it pretty deep, to be honest. I thought that was the plan. Charlie were out, but Henry was superb, and I echo everything that Joe Beneducci said. Really, superb. Just sucked it up, took the pressure, on a big day, and put the bad ball away, which was important. Didn't feel the pressure. Put the bad ball away, and sucked it up.
And it was a period in the game that I think that was vital. They get another wicket. Certainly, Charlie Cotton. I think he's potentially, it could have been critical. And I know these two lads were on the call. But they just needed the sting taken out of them. And Duch's right. He's just sent me a message. They put 31 on, did Charlie and Henry, which when you think Charlie only got 6, that's a good effort. But he stuck around, and we all know Charlie of old. He doesn't show much emotion. He doesn't but you could see him walking off that pitch. He was so frustrated. I felt it was in the stars that him and his lad were going to get us very close and be a fantastic occasion. But that's cricket. So Charlie, you're padded up. You're ready, obviously, to go in with Henry and Charlie Cotton batting as well as they did.
Hi, it's Chippy here. What a day Sunday was. Up the house. Massive congrats to Ben and the team. Young Henry, young Charlie showed massive bottle and showed how good they really are. Well deserved. Awesome day, awesome weather, awesome result, awesome Lowerhouse.
Just talk me through your preparation. You're getting your pads on. Do you like to be alone? Are you noisy? Do you get nervous? Tell us what your prep is before you're going in.
I'm pretty structured in putting everything on. Everything has to go on in a certain way. But I'm the same every time before I go out to bat. I'm a bag of nerves. I'm like, my legs are going, and I just need to keep sort of moving sometimes.
Yeah.
If I'm sat down like when you're in the middle, actually, Charlie. I noticed that when you were actually batting, in between balls, you like walk out square leg a little bit. You're always tapping your pads and messing with your grip. That's just nervous energy, is it?
Yeah. To be fair, I was more so like that on Sunday than any other time, just to try and stay switched on. Just be pretty fidgety, just keep the blood going and stay in the game, really.
And that's a big call. You're 19, aren't you, Charlie, now?
Yeah.
I think you've gone to 20. So you're 19. There's a responsibility there. And, Paddy is batting so well, certainly this last all year. And then we've got Hawke who comes in, who is, we'll come on to Hawke. How he's developed into such an experienced, if I were playing against Hawke and he were coming out, I'd think, we don't need this. We don't need this lad coming out. He doesn't seem to care. And, you don't always come off, but you're just so mature and confident about it. So we've still got those players.
George, is mature and me in the same sentence.
Mature.
What has happened?
Where did it all go wrong? But then you've got Henry and Charlie out there, both young kids. And it didn't stop that momentum that Charlie Cotton had developed with Henry. It seemed to continue, in that they couldn't take over the game. And then Henry gets out. What were your thoughts there, Charlie? Were you thinking about who's coming in next? How do we do this? Or are you just still in your own little zone?
I was sort of in my own little zone still, but I thought when Henry played the shot, I thought it's a shot that's on third man, fine leg with both up. So
yeah,
it's how we play into it really. So
yeah,
but I was confident that whoever can come in now, that we can still win the game comfortably.
Yeah.
Were you thinking though, Charlie, that you were going to play such a key role as that you ended up playing, or were you thinking that Paddy's going to come in, he can hit boundaries, I'll just stick around with Paddy, or Joe can come in, I'll just stick around with him, or were you already at that stage thinking, right, I've identified where I'm going to hit this ball if it lands in my slot?
I wanted to be I wanted to take the game away from them. I knew if it was there, it was going.
Yeah.
And because I didn't want the pressure on the new batter to be the one that had to do that. I was in. I was seeing it. I wanted to be the man to sort of take it to him. Really.
Great.
And that's good that you've got that mindset. And again, for the listeners, if you haven't listened to Dan Salpicero's podcast, then please have a good listen and just see how he develops and how he's developing our young players to come through to what Charlie's doing. And it's a pity you can't develop my English, but you've got cracky. You've Henry's out. Paddy's come in, looks in good nick, and Paddy's quite a confident batter. He can work it around. We're still not getting up to 7, 8 and over, but we do need to work the runs around. What was Paddy's attitude when he came in? How you should bat, how he's going to bat, how the game's going to pan out.
Paddy did say that he was gonna take it on and me to stay there till the end, and that was in the over as he got out. But I thought a massive over for us was the over from Sav, the over before, where we got 6 ones off it. I said that's a very good over for us at this point in the game, going towards a long boundary with Sav bowling so slow and so well at that period.
Yeah. What again? So you've touched on that, Charlie. How did it feel? Joe Martin, Hawke, Gav, Dooch, and myself. It is really deceiving. Is our pitch when you just get a wicket or two away from the centre, down towards the scorebox and Lowerhouse Lane, that park end becomes even shorter. There's the other end becomes longer up to the tea room, and it seems like you can't work it around. Did you have a strategy around that? And did you know who was going to be bowling from where?
We knew the spinners had sort of bowled out apart from the pro, but we didn't expect the pro to really come on again. So we knew there were going to be seamers at the park end, and I think everyone's sort of mindset was to attack that short cow boundary and short park end boundary. And just sort of work it at the other end. If we can get a boundary at that end, then perfect. But going at a runner ball at that end, we were happy with.
I think not so much a turning point, because obviously I'd have still had a go at him, but I think Noah's injury helped us a little bit and put them at a disadvantage, because he was definitely going to bowl the final 2 overs from that park end and not the Joseph brothers. Obviously, Noah's got a lot more pace on the ball and a little bit more experience. So, were we going to take him for 16 and 10 or whatever we took that Joseph brother off in the overs? Obviously, we'll never know. But I think that was definitely a little bit of a turning point in the game.
Ben actually said that, Hawke. When we were, I was sat in the changing rooms. I think are on the last page of the programme back then. And Ben said when that happened, obviously we all hope Noah's all right. You don't want anybody to get injured, do you, on a cricket game in a final? But he said that's swung it in our favour, because they had to rejig their whole strategy, and come up with something that they thought, was going to win them the game, and couldn't have been an easy decision to make, I don't think. Trying to work out who needs to bowl where, how many overs you've got left, because Sav and Hamza are bowled out, as you say. So
I think it's quite easy to look back in hindsight as well. Looking at the stream, their body language started to change at that point as well, especially with those overthrows that came in that next over. And it were almost like, oh, here we go.
Yeah, and it's easier. I'd moved. I went round to sit with Chippy just for a change of scenery. And there was quite a lot of Todd fans around, and they were more than happy before the injury that they were on top and they were going to win it. And I never said a word, but I'm thinking, you don't really know what could happen here. Certainly with the pitch, certainly with facing the park end, and then when the lad gets injured, I mean, let's discuss it. you know, Dooch, you've captained a lot. Does it become brain freeze? Because, you know, I'll be quite blunt, they dropped a clog there at the end. There is no two ways about it. They didn't regroup, sit together and think, you know, and there is some, I know they're a really young side, but it shocked me that they let the young lad keep bowling. I felt a bit sorry for him, actually. It's easier said when you're watching from the side, Dooch, but as a skipper, an ex-skipper, what did you think?
Yeah, I guess the ideal scenario for you as the bowling captain there is to have options, isn't it? And you know, the fact that they bowled Sav, Atkinson, and Hamza out. All right, there was probably only 5 overs left at that point, so that you would say you don't need a whole ton of options. But I'm looking at the card. Harry Rickard, has he not bowled much at all this year? The lads who are in the know.
I don't think
he has just come back from the injury, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Has he? Right. Okay. But the pro only bowled 6 overs.
Yeah.
I mean, I know he's not renowned for his bowling, but he's bowled 6 overs for 18 runs.
Yeah.
In the game. I'm not suggesting he would have bowled from the park end, but maybe they could have brought him on at the other end. I don't know. I thought that they did cock it up. I thought Adam mentioned the overthrows there. That was sort of symptomatic of a team who had just sort of let it start getting to him a little bit. The injury's unfortunate and it's bad luck. But yeah, they needed 5 minutes there to get back on track, and unfortunately they didn't have that luxury because by the time they got back on track, it was probably too late.
Yeah.
The hit up towards him, Charlie, when the ball's in the air and it's going towards the fielder, deep cow in front of the tee room. What are you thinking there?
To be fair, I nailed it, but
it's a long way up there, though, isn't it? A long way.
Exactly, and that's exactly what Paddy said to me. He said, "Are you sure that's the right shot going to the longest part of the boundary?" I was like, and I just said to him, "That's one of the shots that I back myself with. If it's to the longest boundary, then I need to take it on." I said, to be honest, Paddy, I should have put it for 6. So
I think roughly translated, Paddy saying, "Are you sure that's the right shot?" I think the translation is, Charlie, that is not the right shot.
You maybe just didn't pick that up well enough, really, from him. But it was. It's a good hit, and it. You know, the injury happened, didn't it? What were your thoughts, Charlie, when Paddy was out? You know, it seemed to shock a lot of the spectators because of the way he's been batting the last month or so. How did you feel
then? The nerves sort of kicked in a little bit more then, but I did think it's same again when anyone in our team gets out. It's like I've still got Joe Hawke to come in and bat with me, so it's hard to explain. It's just the trust in every single player in the squad is just there.
Brilliant. So. Well, that is, I mean, that's so good to hear, and you know, for the players that are around it, you're all feeling the same way. That you know, it is fantastic. So Paddy gets out. He's had a great season with the bat. He's bowled fantastically well there in the first innings, and then okay, you're striding out. What's going through your mind?
Not a right one, Jez, as usual. Well, it's all a bit of a blur, to be honest, still. I mean, the 37 to win we needed off 22 balls.
Yeah.
I think I just said to Jazz, I said, well, we did say if we have 10s, if we need 10s in the last 5 overs, we're well and truly in it. Getting towards that park end. So yeah, 37 off 22. Charlie were in. I think Charlie were striking at 100, 21 off 22, something like that. So I just said to Chaz, let's go, sort of thing. And I got met with a wide ball first, and then a nice juicy full toss on my legs, which I managed to clip away for 4, which it always helps. So with my batting style, if I can get a boundary away early doors, my confidence goes through the roof, and that helps me massively. So
you absolutely nailed it as well, Hawke.
Yeah, I did, to be fair. Yeah,
proper creamed it.
Yeah, I just, to be honest, I think the way I bat, I just like to put pressure on them early doors. I was greeted with Cav, or whatever he's called, the subfielder, coming in and giving me a lot of abuse. I'm not sure why, because I'm one of the nicest guys in the league. But, but obviously that spurs me on as well. So, just let's get the runs and let's get off the field and celebrate.
It is interesting that, Joe, because you've done this all your career, even as a young lad. You come out to bat and you mean it. You can see, this lad means it. There's no dragging his back, or there's no right, where we're going to do this, how we're going to work this out, and think too much about it. And that does put the opposition under pressure. And I think, obviously the Sixers, that for you, it was a great shot. But you were pushing them, every run was going to be a 2. If we can push this fielder, we're going to get 2. And if they miss fielder, we're going to take a chance. And that puts a lot, we've all been there where you getting under that pressure. And that changes the game as well. Is that something that you as a team prepare and plan, or was that the moment where you just think, I've got to do this?
Well, obviously, when they were bowling from the car park end, it's such a long boundary on the leg side that any balls that went out there, I was always going to be pushing to. But I just felt when I went in, there was, I think, the way I saw it, it were almost as if Todd had won, maybe even won the game. And I just thought they need a bit of a rocket up their arse here, and we need to start attacking each fielder, running at them, putting them under pressure. And I think the Harry Rijkaard over, he went for 13 and probably 3 2s in there, a wide, and then obviously the 4 overthrows. And then before you know where we are, we need 16 off 2 overs. Yeah. And we really are back in the game.
Yeah. And
I don't think it's said often enough, Jez, how good between the wickets Hawke is. There's people in our team that are fast between the wickets. Henry, Charlie are particularly good between the wickets. Obviously, Salpy's great between the wickets as well. But Hawke's ability to push fielders, to make 1s into 2s and 2s into 3s and so on, is incredible. He's done it obviously for a long time.
Strides, Joe.
Yeah, have to be shot out of a cannon to do it. But it makes a big difference later down, especially when you run into that big boundary. When they're in other games, opposition teams are hitting that for 1. Hawke really does put them under pressure, and it's not it's not easy. It's not easy to run someone out from that top boundary, so you can hit it and run 2. So that made a massive difference that you don't have to hit boundaries all the time.
Yeah, and the pressure. You could see, it's just that's the beauty of cricket. The overthrows are just compound everything. It's nothing. It's an extra couple of runs. That's all it is. But it just changes the whole game, really. Certainly when it's so late. I mean, where Joe runs, you just run, and you're like a herd of elephants going down the pitch. No one wants to get in your way, and the stumpers looking round at who's coming to it. So it works. It works really, really well. I think it's worth, the young lad who bowled at the end, that he was unfortunate. I've certainly been there, where you bowl you're trying to bowl a line, and I think he'd been told, where to bowl it. Even if it was 18-inch 2 foot outside off stump, let's get it right out there. They're not going to hit you for 6. Get it as full as you can right out there. But you bowl 1 and then 2 wides, and believe me, I'm sure Hawke's seen this, and Charlie will have done or will do in his career. You end up floating it, and the ball ends up coming out because all you're trying to do is just get it in the right line. You're not bothered about your length then. And once they've done that, it's game over. And I think, Charlie, your first 6, you didn't really connect that well with it, I don't think. Is that right?
To be honest, at first when I hit it, I thought this is right down Charlie Atkinson's throat here.
Yeah.
And then it was such a relief when I saw it go onto the tent, to be honest.
That was our tent as well.
Yeah.
My dad nearly had a heart attack.
Claiming compensation. So it is a bit of a miss it, but that again put certainly bowlers under pressure, thinking, crack, he's miss it to me for 6 now. What chance have I got? It is such a psychological game. Let's just go on to Gav in a minute, because by this stage it's worth just throwing in. We haven't got to the winning runs and how that all panned out. there is. I would shudder to guess. We've got to be up to nearly 1,000 cans of beer have been drunk around those tents down the bottom end. We're all, nervous as anything. Don't want to move. Just intently looking at it, but we're also looking for where the next can was coming from. How were you, Gavin? How was your tent managing that end period when we were just bringing it back to a potential victory after we looked dead and buried?
Well, that's it. Like Hawke mentioned, when he came out to bat, he got the feeling that Todd thought that they'd won the game, and I was sort of thinking it's sort of 70-30 in their favour, really. Perhaps a bit more, perhaps. But like I say, Hawke's got been there and done it before in big games in front of a lot of folk. And like we've said a million times so far, the way that they played, they put pressure back on the bowling attack. Charlie's just got going, and like we've mentioned about the overthrows, and I think it's just important to mention there, in a big game in front of a lot of folk at that time, we've just started to get a bit of momentum. The crowd have just started to go, hang on, we've got a sniff here.
Yeah.
Volume seemed to increase when the young lad in the cold light of day, like you say, you feel a bit sorry for him. At the time, not a chance. You're getting stuck into him, whoa, at the end of his run-up. That's what it's all about. That is what it's all about. And that's the part of, big boys game, at a good standard in front of a lot of people. And I thought, the lads, they forced that and they put Todmorden under pressure. But then once they'd done that and the crowd got back involved, I thought Hawke and Charlie buzzed off that, and I thought they'd earned the right to do that because they'd got the crowd going again. They took the gambles, they played the attacking cricket, which is their mantra, and that's great. But then when the crowd did get involved and we thought we had a sniff, I thought Hawke and Charlie really sucked that up and like thought, right, yeah, well, let's go. Whereas perhaps, like you say, Todmorden are a young side, and perhaps they wilted a little bit. Back where we were, we were loving it, getting stuck into a young bowler, and it was brilliant. Happy days, yeah.
And the crowd do play a part in that, as much 100%. As Hawke and Charlie will be buzzing off it, but they don't. It's not something that they're planning on doing. It's not, you can't plan for that sort of thing. What sort of pressure? I'm going to ask you both this question, but I'll come to you first, Charlie. When you're in that position, I know you're focused and you're in the zone to get these runs, but it's noisy. You can hardly hear yourself think. Did you ever look around and think, crikey, am I really stood here? And was there any chance of you freezing?
Well, there were two areas of the crowd that really stuck out to me. There was the Todd fans at the top that really got going towards the end. And then just under the scoreboard, some of my family was sat there. My mum and my auntie and uncle and a couple of my cousins. So they were sort of like my main focus points. And I sort of said to myself, umpire probably thought I was mad, but I was like, right, just towards the Todd fans, I was like, right, let's shut them expletives up, sort of thing. Like, and then I sort of switched into the zone at that point, majorly. So
you mentioned about your family there watching. How did that feel?
It really helped a lot, to be honest. Just like a little checkpoint, look over each ball. Everyone probably thought I was looking at the scoreboard a lot of the time, but it was to look at them the majority of it. But yeah, it was good.
You will remember, obviously, but we had a chat on Sunday night around all that, and it really it really opened my eyes of the way you were talking about it. And I don't want to get into any situations where we're getting emotional or anything, but you said it really spurred you on. The fact that you had these people, it's your first season, it automatically spurred you on, which is quite an attribute, because that can sometimes put people off, or it can get them scared. So it was fantastic to hear that, Charlie. I don't know if you want to add anything else, or I don't want you to bust out crying, but if you want to, and you can if you want.
Well, I'm at Jez, so here we go.
No, well, it's just before the final over what was the final over in the end? I could feel myself like tearing up, like just in between balls, like really just a sense of pride that I felt like I'd already achieved.
Yeah.
But after that first 6, it like all emotion was just shut out, and I was just
brilliant.
I think me and Hawke had the hardest fist bumps in the world in the middle. Like, I don't think I've hit anything so hard.
So, Hawke, over to you. So, the crowd is there. You've played, you did very similar against Burnley in, was it 18?
2018, yeah.
2018, towards the end. How were you taking that in? I didn't really hear the Todd fans that Charlie's mentioned because we were right at the other end, but it was noisy. That was intense. How were you coping with
that? To be honest, I only really heard you when I was at the non-strikers end. Obviously, when I was facing up, I don't hear a thing. I'm just concentrating on where I want to put the ball.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think you lot down in Stella Corner. Obviously, when I was at the non-strikers end, I was raising my arms to you and stuff and trying to get the goal. But that was mainly to wind them up as well. Probably nothing worse than seeing a non-strikers end doing that. But just unbelievable. Just like I said to you at the start, I still trying to get my head around it, to be honest, how it all worked out.
No, it was fantastic, to get to that position. And what even better, going back, probably not Dooch and Gav's era, but going back to me and Stan, once you'd hit the first 6, would have then messed around and tried to get singles, tried to get leg buys. Let's make sure we don't get out here. But we just knew what you guys would do if it's in the right place. And Gav, you're right. It's a tough game, and hopefully the young lad will learn from it. But you float him up there. It doesn't really matter. It's a length that's done you. Don't matter about the width when you're hitting down there. And I think the ball ended up in Lane End's tap room.
That second 6 was massive.
Charlie was out. You was absolutely ticking though, weren't you, Charlie?
Yeah.
There was no telling you. Next one that's up there is going. All right, Charlie, no problem. You do you.
Is that what he said, or did you just know that? What was the conversation?
No, that's actually what he said. Obviously, I think when the first 6 went, we needed 10 off 11 balls, and I went down to him and said, "It's less than a run of ball now, Charlie. Nothing silly. Obviously, if we lost one of us 2, then we were down to only having 1 wicket left, and it's twitchy bum time then, innit? Sort of. So I went down to him and said, less than a run of ball now, nothing silly. And he literally just said, "Okay, listen, next one that's up, it's going." I think he threw down. He did throw 2 wides down, so that we needed 8 off 11, and then, like you said, next one ended up over at Lane Ends way.
Yeah, going to the moon, and then that was almost it.
The Charlie Gansler, Joey Hawke show. I mean, I thought it was actually at one point when Joey came in, I thought it was going to be him that were going to go mental and get us really close. But then up steps Charlie. Amazing. He just looked to be in the zone, didn't he? Once, sticky early doors, I guess, a bit like how early do you go for it? So I think timing was absolutely fantastic. And the poor lad who bowled that last over, I felt for him for a degree, because the over before, he'd give away overthrows and he was getting shit. Well, he looked to be getting shit on YouTube off his teammates, and then had to go and bowl from the park end. And he obviously, I think he'd suffering with a lad, he'd bowl him wides, and Charlie got hold of him. So you feel for him, that guy. I don't think he'll be remembering that fondly in future. But no, brilliant cup win. Goosebumps, tears in my eyes. Well done, Gansler. Welcome to Lowerhouse, my friend. And congrats to Ben and the rest of the team and the club generally for an amazing Worsley Cup win yet again. Up the house.
Joe Martin would have come out and would have done the job for us. What were you like, Joe, in the dressing room? Be honest with us.
Well, I was sat outside at that point, Jez, and I was just, I was kept looking at the scoreboard to see the score ticking down, and then every now and again I'd have a look to see what were happening. So I'd see a wide, then a 6, saw that massive six, and I kind of hit that second six. So, because I thought, excellent, good. But they'd worked out. So well, white as a ghost, apparently, because I was very nervous going now. But after that second six, they were saying we actually only needed one to win.
Yeah, there was a massive kerfuffle, weren't there?
Yeah, we only needed one to win because of the number of wickets we'd lost and like count back or something like that. So they were saying, right, let's go on and tell him. And then someone said, no, don't tell Charlie, because let's just see if he can hit another one. Absolutely not. He's not going to try and hit another six. He needs to get his front pad down that pitch and get a thick inside edge for two, because I'm not going out to bat with a one to win. So it was, I don't think I've ever, we've played in a lot of games. We've played, me and Hawke and Charlie have now played in Worsley Cup finals. I can remember the 2012 game at Lowerhouse that we won in the last overs with to win the league. I don't think I've never quite experienced something like that, because I think, to be honest with you, me coming in at 11 at some point in that game, I thought it was going to be a tough ask. But then I just couldn't believe it, and it was relief more than anything when he hit that two and he just raced off. Honestly, I can't really describe how kind of momentous it felt, because we care so much. We work hard during the week, but we also play as amateurs at a club that we genuinely love, because it's given us a lot. So to be able to do that, to see, the fans run on. There's nothing like a Lowerhouse pitch invasion. I don't think I got a phone call from someone yesterday that asked me, that said, "Did I see there a pitch invasion at Lowerhouse the other day?" No, and so I had to explain what had happened. So yeah, it was unbelievable to watch, and especially Charlie in his first season. Incredible, really incredible to see.
I think
all his plaudits.
That were another thing in the back of my mind. Obviously, walking out to bat, we've done so much to get to the point where we've got to. Like, even Frank Entwistle and people like that putting in all the hours of work that they do. Ben, Salpe, how much it means to everybody. It's just, you just don't want to let anybody down, and you've got so close to lifting that trophy. You just feel like you need to go out there and do anything you possibly can to get us over the line. And that obviously helps me massively and really does spur me on.
Yeah, that is it's fantastic for you to say that, Hawke, and it's so it's difficult to capture, isn't it? When you think it's all over in 3 minutes, that little section of it's done and dusted in 3 minutes.
Yeah.
But it seems like you couldn't plan for it, you couldn't work, you would deal with it. And I do wonder, and it's all respect, Joe Martin, he's a centurion in the first team, but to score maybe 8 runs. If one of you two are out and you need 8 off that last over, facing it from the dressing room end, it's a different game. Their pro comes in to, fielding close, you're getting a bit of stick, they bring extra fielders in it. Things can change so quickly, so it's real credit. So you get the 2, it's fantastic. I'm sure Adam will have already put it on, or he will put it on. There's a little clip of about 30 seconds with some background music knocking around. Please, listeners, have a watch of that. It was funny, really. One of you ended up, I think, one of you stopped running at the lane ends, and the other one stopped running at the canteen, and then you realised you'd forgot each other. And then you
ended up in the middle of the world's biggest pylon, didn't we, Charlie? And I actually nearly started having a panic attack.
I was having the fattest panic attack ever. I just need space.
All pylon, Jez. Did you get it with your collection box again?
You two got together and they were all pylon. I didn't see that. I was busy running after Ted. So there's 100 people on top of you both.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Brilliant. The emotion there must have been absolutely fantastic. And then it carried on. Obviously, the presentation was so emotional and so good for the club, and the spectacle, there was no trouble. There was lots of people partying. Obviously, lots of Todd fans who were absolutely gutted, but there's no hassles. In the dressing room and being sat outside with all the players, obviously you'll treasure that forever. Charlie, any, what your memories around that? Have you sat there? You've just won the cup for us, and you've won man of the match. You've got this trophy. What were your feelings then?
Honestly, there wasn't much going through my head just because of I couldn't understand what had happened, especially the fact that I was there at the end to do it. I didn't believe it were real, to be honest.
Thought you were dreaming.
Yeah, honestly.
Oh, bless you. Okay, what about you? What was, sat around with the players? You've done it, like we said, against the Burnley game, but you can never get too much of that. How did you feel?
To be honest, it was, I think, Joe, correct me if I'm wrong, it was more a little bit like what has just gone on. We were pretty much, I wouldn't say dead and buried because that's not our mentality, but we were up against it, and to win with 8 balls to spare and for everything to happen like it did, it was just a case of, right, I need to get my pads off, I need to get my helmet off, I just need to have a sit down for 5 minutes and just collect my thoughts here, because we're in for one big night of celebrating when it were looking a long, long way away half an hour before.
Yeah. Oh, brilliant. How was the pro? How was Dan with situations like that and his celebrations and his congratulations? How does he take it?
Dan's been a breath of fresh air all year. He's unbelievable. He's such a team man. Going round congratulating everybody. Obviously, he was over the moon for Charlie. You probably couldn't wish for a better pro, to be honest. Just one of the best guys I've probably met. Charlie, I don't know what you think, but yeah, he's an unbelievable guy.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah,
Charlie, you.
Sorry.
Well, Charlie, around the pro, you've come off, you've had a great win. How was he with you? You're a young lad. He's an older pro. Does he look after you?
Yeah, definitely. Just sort of set the message of we've worked all this year for that moment, even though I've not done masses in the rest of the season. He just sort of emphasised how massive the moment was from all the work that we've done throughout the season to come to that.
Brilliant. I'm going to go on with Adam's put a post out today for a few questions. Any questions from any listeners? So there is a few that I need to put to you both, Hawke and Charlie. But before I do that, Duke, just want to, anything around the game, anything around the end of it and the night that we all had before I go on to these questions?
Yeah, just a couple of quick bits. Some people say that all sixers are equal. They're clearly not. All you have to do is look at Charlie's reaction on the stream from the first 6 when he was nervously looking over to his left to see if it was, he had that little anxious wait, see if it was going to carry. Fast forward a couple of balls to when he hit the second 6 and he just went bang, looked up and then started marking his guard because he knew that it was going out of here, and that was a great comparison between the two hits. So I love that. I absolutely love that second shot. I must have watched that about 50 times on the stream. It's brilliant to watch. And Hawke's reaction in between as well, superb. But just on the celebration afterwards, and I don't want to sound too soppy now, but people, when you're packing playing cricket, they say to you, do you miss playing cricket? And Joe asked me a couple of weeks ago, look, do you miss playing cricket? And I always say, no, not really. I had a great run and I really enjoyed playing, but I don't miss playing. And then you see what happens on Sunday after the game and how great that night is for them lads, and they're back in the changing rooms together, then they're in the bar, then they're on the pitch together. I'm in the WhatsApp group, so I'm seeing all the pictures that they send through, and that's the bit that you miss, because it's superb when you achieve something together as a group, and then you get to spend the next couple of hours sort of reflecting back on it with a beer. That's the bit that ex-cricketers really miss the most. That's the sort of the priceless bit. And Jez, you said, well, they would be drinking till midnight. I've got pictures coming through on that WhatsApp group at times starting with a 5.
And was that still in the club?
Still at the club, yeah, in various different places around the club, yeah.
Fantastic.
Some on the pitch, some in the changing room, some in the bar.
Fantastic. I didn't like. I mentioned that because I didn't want to drop anyone in it when I said it was certainly after midnight. I think I was still there till 2:00. So no, it was fantastic, fantastic to see. So we'll come on to the messages. A question from David Flounders. I'll ask you, Hawke. Did my mullet style wig, Gansler special, make it into the celebration after the match? I was wearing it when he dropped that catch. Oh, thank you for bringing that up. But I kept faith with it and was wearing it when he hit those winning runs up the house. So what's the mullet wig about? Okay.
Well, exactly the same as that hairstyle Gansler's rocking at the moment. I think it made its way, it did its rounds through every player. Obviously, I wanted to try it on just to see what it felt like to have hair again. I think Frankie had it on most of the night. I think one thing I do remember from that night is, yeah, like Joe said, gone 5:00, we actually got an Uber home, me and Frankie, back to Frankie's house, and he was sat in front seat with Worsley Cup on his lap wearing this wig. Taxi driver's looking at him quite funny. We get talking about we've been in a final, we've ended up winning it, and we pulls up outside Frankie's house, and he turns his car off. We're like, what's he doing? Gets his phone out, jumps out wheels, starts taking loads of selfies in front of his house. So it'd be interesting if we could get hold of some of them photos.
Yeah, we'll have to see where they're going to get on.
Yeah.
On Twitter or wherever. Fantastic. And there's just you and Frankie there, is it? At that stage?
Yeah, just me and Frankie there. Yeah, we end up trudging off, me and Frank. So
brilliant.
5:15, birds were tweeting, sun were coming up, but
you can't beat it. A question from our old friend who's contributed a little bit over the last 2 or 3 weeks, Barrett Tripatha. He came over chatting to me on Sunday and confirmed that everything that Joe Martin told us about his comments at the Burnley game were true.
Yeah, absolutely.
Up and it backfired a little bit. So, I think this one, I'll come to you first, Charlie. Would you swap hairdos with Joe Hawke?
Not a chance.
Not a chance. Good line. Good line. You could always shave it off and grow it back, I guess. Hawke, would you swap with Charlie?
Absolutely, yeah. I think I suited it, to be fair.
Yeah, I think you did. We've got a picture in front of me now in dressing room. A question from Anne Cochran, our historian who's supported us for years and years. She loves days like that and really and gets lots of memories from them. She wants to ask Charlie, what was it like playing in front of such a big crowd when you turned up and you see what it's there? What were your emotions like? She wants to know.
It was absolutely incredible, to be honest. I enjoyed taking it all in before the as we were warming up. I just kept looking around, just soaking everything in. And then when it gets to the end and it's loud, it's just your blood's really pumping, and it's just such an enjoyable moment. But to be fair, they were blocked out for that final over.
Yeah,
I couldn't hear a thing.
Brilliant. Thanks, Anne, for sending that in, and thanks, Charlie, for answering that. We've got quite a few other questions that have come in, but we can't read some of them out. A couple of other points. We've got some. We've asked if people can send voice notes in with regard, any memories or anything they want to put on that are there and can be there forever on the Housecast. So please send those in. We've had a couple in. The lad John Smith still missing. He went out for a few pints, watched the cricket, and he's not come home yet. But I'm sure we'll be able to find. Find John. Some research being done. Bob Spencer, 98 Worsley Cup Finals. Tell me if it's boring, but I really like this stat. 98 World Cup finals, 23 times the team batting first have got over 200. Are you keeping up, Gav? Have you? Yeah, we know what.
Yeah, I read it earlier today. Yeah.
No, rehearse these, Gav.
Jez, it's a great stat, so carry on with it. He's a belter of a stat.
So 23 times in 98 World Cup finals, the team batting first get over 200. On only 2 occasions has the chasing team, obviously to get past the 200, won the match. So that's chasing 200. We'll say 98 games, albeit 23 of them they've over 200, and they're both Lowerhouse. 2004 and 2024. It's an amazing stat, that. Anyway, any other questions from anyone else?
No.
Oh, Jez, the only other thing that I wanted to mention was, and I don't think he's been mentioned on the podcast, is that Paul Stanley came back to manage the team this year.
Yeah.
And Paul Stanley, Ben, and Southey, who've all worked together, Paul deserves a lot of credit as well for the atmosphere in the changing rooms too. He sits next to me. I'm not sure whether he's too pleased about that or not, because my wicket keeping stuff smells are horrendous. But he's had a really positive impact on the changing room this year with everybody else. So Paul deserves a lot of credit too.
Yeah, and also I think it's let's have a proper soppy shout out. The selection committee that do what they do. Over and above the organising side of it, the cricket side is very, very difficult, and to keep it going as smoothly as they do with Stan and with Joe Beneducci. The way Stuart Weirden is, the scoring is just so seamless with what's going on. So let's long may it continue. I'll come back to Charlie and Hawke for the final say on the weekend's activities. But dudes, just to wrap it up, I think we've been on for nearly an hour and 40 here. We'll have to decide whether it's 1 or 2 episodes. Dudes, your memories of the weekend, including the build up to it and what you're going to take away and what you can explain to the fans of how the future is going to be.
I don't know about the future, but Sunday was probably as near a perfect day as you could possibly get, I think. Like everyone's mentioned, the organisation at the club's bang on. It's brilliant. Things don't just happen by accident. There's a lot of work that goes into that. What was a massive fluke, obviously, was the weather. That plays a huge part as well. That gave the lads the platform to go and put on a show in front of all those people, and boy did they do it. I thought, like I say, it could not have gone any better. The game was close enough to make it interesting without being too close that we'd have no fingernails left. So yeah, I thought it was brilliant day, and full credit to everybody who played any kind of part in it.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Joe. And when I said the future, what I were hoping you were going to say, we're going to carry on with this vein, and we're going to be as positive as ever, and carry on with the with the attitude that we've got, and hopefully win some more trophies. But it's obviously Joe Martin's rubbing off on you, not wanting to answer questions. Gav, we had such a good day. We had a few pints together in the afternoon and a couple of pints afterwards. It was good to catch up with my brother Nicky, who was over, and Tony Woodworth in the bar. Your memories of it, and your how you feel about the way the club is now. You're still heavily involved in coming down, and as an ex-player, how do you see that this season's gone on last weekend?
The great days, aren't they? I mean, Joe's right in what he said, but from just a purely a spectator point of view, they're fantastic days. Obviously, the weather made it, but from a spectator's point of view, there's that many folk, and then there's lads who you might not have seen for 6 months, and obviously the cricket would never be secondary because that's why we're all there. But the great days, you catch up with people you might not see them for 6 months, but you immediately pick up where you left off, and the cracking days. And we won. and that's all that matters. We won. So absolutely brilliant weekend. And yeah, let's hope we have many more.
Brilliant. Thanks, Gav. And really appreciate your support on this, and for the good times that we have when we meet up watching these types again. Joe Martin, have you anything to say?
No, I had a lovely day, and I've had a lovely 3 days as well. Just looking back at over the photos and videos and stuff, I've watched that last over about, I don't know, 1,000 times. That's unbelievable to see. It was magnificent. What a lovely day that I had after 8 o'clock.
So you're going from saying you've nothing to say to waffling on about.
I mean, that's pretty accurate in general, isn't it?
Charlie, I'm going to come to you next, and then we're going to ask Hawke for the final words before we finish this absolute fantastic podcast that will be there forever for all sorts of people in the future to listen to. Charlie, your reflection on this season first of all, and then on the final win, just in a paragraph. How does it make you feel?
I've never felt so trusted or had so much trust in a changing room, to be honest. It's probably the best changing room I've been a part of for the season wise, and Sunday was probably the best day of my life so far. Just the raw emotion, it was incredible, and it's been a pleasure being on and reliving it again.
Brilliant. No, you're more than welcome, Charlie. We love getting the players on and talking through your careers, and we will definitely get you on and have a 45-minute catch up with you around your career and where you've got to. Okay, final word over to you. Tell us what it's like to be a multiple cup winning legend, always at the crease at the end.
It definitely tops Burnley, I must
really?
say. Wow. Yeah. I think just obviously being at the end there with Charlie was amazing. We all know he's got so much talent, don't we? And we know he's not had. You've had a pretty rough season, and he'll probably will admit that. But just to see him being there at the end and just showcasing what he has got was unbelievable. But yeah, unreal weekend. Saturday, obviously, close game, good game. Back to the skipper's house Saturday night because I don't think he trusted me. So he looked after me well on Saturday night. And then obviously Sunday being Sunday, yeah, just unreal. Ready to do it all over again on bank holiday now.
Yeah, brilliant. That's I was just going to bring that up now for the listeners. Don't forget, bank holiday Monday. Clitheroe host the T20 finals day. We're playing the first game at 10 o'clock against Crompton. It'll be a full day. I'm sure these lads will keep us there till the final. Fingers crossed. Hopefully we can have another fantastic day out. I'm just looking. Has anyone got that stat that Adam sent around the podcast? How many people have listened to the podcast since we started? Anyone got it to hand?
There was 70,000 downloads or something. Is that right? Maybe more. Don't know. Jez, I don't know the answer to that.
But while you look for that, I'll just say that they were going to go from the elation and the euphoria of winning the Worsley Cup on Sunday to playing Church away on Sunday coming. Super.
Frankie's favourite ground, isn't it?
Yeah, Frankie's favourite ground.
Can't wait.
I can remember this in 2021 when we played Clitheroe, and it was an unbelievable game that we won pretty comfortably in the end. Frankie took 6 for a hat trick, and Ruan got 70 odd and not so many balls and whatever. But then the week after we played Rochdale. We played Rochdale at home, and it was like really overcast and cold, and you think, complete opposite, yeah, to what has just happened.
After the Lord Mayor's show, I can't find it. We've had, since the podcast started, I'm quite sure it's getting up towards 750,000 views and listens on the podcast, which is fantastic. And when we get to that million, we might have another a free curry at the club. The MD might treat us to a curry. But an interesting one here that Adam sent: 6,900 people viewed the final on YouTube on Sunday. So that's a great achievement. So thanks everyone for tuning in and listening and listening to the podcast. Don't forget to subscribe to it and support the sponsors. I have nothing else to say. Has anyone else anything before we go? No, all done. Thanks everyone, and good night. And we'll have the August bumper draw in the next podcast, which is 5 prizes of £100. So thanks very much, everyone.
That was such a lekker game, lekker day. Really loved it. Cheers.
Gordon, send Morehouse to save the house.